What up, guys? Sinapse here, and I wanted to break down a few of the reasons why game in Japan is quite different from game everywhere else, especially in Europe and North America, and just go over a few of these reasons and kind of why guys fail when they're trying to adjust to Japan. Okay, the first major thing that we have to consider is just the economic difference, right, compared to other Asian countries or other third world countries and Japan. All right, so usually when people go to a country that is, you know, it's basically, you can break the world down into like the West, right, third world countries, and then you have like developed, like previous third world countries that are now super developed, right, and that would include, you know, Japan, Korea, you know, Taiwan, and even places like, you know, the UAE or you know, places like that. So places which have a lot of money, high level of development. In other words, they're not economically inferior to places like the US or Europe, and they also have a separate and distinct culture and a powerful cultural identity and strong nationalism. So what that means is that you have a specific kind of cocktail, right, especially in Japan, where they're proud of themselves and their race. They're very, very homogenous, right, which has a lot of effect on, you know, the overall society. You know, you can look at Sweden and places like that as another example. On top of that, they don't speak a ton of English. Like, there is English, you can find it. If you're only gaming in English, you will find girls who will speak in English, and you can, of course, you know, make them try as much as possible. But not only do they not necessarily speak a lot of English, especially compared to places, you know, like China or something like that, they don't really care about the US. They don't really care about the outside world. Now, that's a bit of a heavy blanket statement, as I'm sure you figured out, right? But a large percentage of, I would say, Japanese society, right, maybe even up to 60%, and these are, of course, heavily skewed towards working class people, don't particularly care about foreign culture, or they care about it in a sort of commodified, like, bland and distilled way. Like, they like Disney movies, and they like, you know, H&M and Forever 21, and they're like taking trips to Paris, but it's very much seen as like an outside thing that they then come back to the serious world of Japan and live their life in the obviously superior country and all of that, right? So now I don't want to talk trash about Japanese people. I love them very much, and I do think that a lot of them are very, very interested in foreign things, especially in a sort of like a cool but distant way, right? Now, that's not to also discredit the fact that there's a huge amount of salaried and white-collar workers, people who have office positions, who do actually have a heavy interest in foreign things, right? And, you know, if you're coming over with a lot of English, you're going to mostly be gaming those people, or those are going to be the kind that mostly respond well to you, okay? But what are some differences about the way that you have to game compared to gaming in Europe and North America, right? One of them, big one, is that there's a lot of kind of banter game with, like, you know, especially in North America, it's very much like cutting witty remarks and like verbal kung fu and like being funny and being like witty and all this stuff, all this back and forth. I used to have all these like back and forth witty conversations with my ex, you know, back in the US, and we had a blast with it. But it's very much different to how game works here, right? There's not so much of that going on, right? Another big difference is the physicality, right? In the US, it's pretty common to just touch people right off the bat, and, you know, it helps them get used to your touch, used to your feel. All right. In Japan, it can be common, especially in clubs, but not so much in bars, and definitely not on the street with strangers. All right. You do want to be a little bit careful of that. Few other quick calibrations for Japan. You know, I see a lot of guys trying to make moves outside, trying to escalate outside. It's just not particularly Japanese people are not super touchy, are not super affectionate in public. Sexuality and even something like kissing, you don't see couples kissing in public all that much. That sort of thing is usually left behind closed doors in Japan. It's just seemed that people are a little bit more reserved. But now, if you get them behind closed doors, they're absolute freaks in bed. So that's great, that's awesome. But it's important to consider where you're escalating. All right, guys. I put together a epic 7-day training. It's a video training course, and it's absolutely free. So I want you to click the link below if that sounds good to you. These are just some super easy and quick little calibrations, but what the training is on is 7 days of calibrating your game towards Japan so that you have more success with women in Japan. Once again, it's a video series, so each day you'll get a video in your email, and it's totally free. And if you make it all the way to the end, there is a full in-field clip breakdown. I'm breaking down basic number close, what it looks like, what the moving parts are that you need for the number close, and how to go about it, and what she's doing, what she's thinking, throughout the essentially 5-minute interaction. I'll break it all down for you guys if you make it to the end of the 7-day training. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Check out the training, the link below. See you guys next time.